easily leverage the power of purpose-driven data in your marketing. We're looking at engaging leads and growing sales. So welcome, and let's just dive right in. We ran a Marketer's Outlook survey at the beginning of the year, and we found out some very interesting things. We found out that almost 69% of marketers rated themselves between an 8 and a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 and how well they understand their ideal customers. And interestingly, only 36% of marketers rated themselves on an 8 to 10 on how well their ideal customers are engaging with their content. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's look at the raw truth here because it's kind of blunt. But 32.86 or almost 33% of marketers who understand their ideal customer profile are not creating campaigns that resonate and engage them. And 31% of marketers don't have a clear understanding of their ideal customer profile. And quite frankly, if you don't have that right, good luck with any other campaigns and engagement. But altogether, 64% of marketers aren't engaging leads with their campaigns. And that got our attention in a big way. And we started to say, wow, how can we make a difference in that? That's why we're here today, to really talk about what works for engagement. We also asked people what might move the needle for them in getting better results, right? And achieving their goals in 2023. So what might move the needle? Well, create more content, ensuring that we're targeting the right folks at the right stage in their buying journey, client success stories, that'll move the needle, outbound reach, that'll do it, content strategy. Oh, we could increase our social media footprint, that'll do it. Improved conversion from the website, cool. Need leads to have better conversion. This is taken right from the survey. Let's do one-to-one relationship building, better that way, and better targeting messages and cadence.
There's definitely some magical thinking going on there, right? Because a few of those things aren't even going to work at all, and they're all over the place. And that's what's interesting. Quite honestly, that's what gives rise to shiny object syndrome, because people are grasping to try to find anything that'll work to increase engagement. But you know what? What if we could eliminate the guesswork? What if we didn't need to be fortune tellers about what our people are actually wanting to hear from us?
Exactly. And that's the whole point, right? Because exactly what Margaret just said. Excellent. So did you know 77% of B2B buyers prefer to be contacted over email, which is more than double any other channel? And email is the first check of the day for 58% of users. And that certainly resonates with me. It's what I do. I wake up in the morning, I look at my phone, I go out and I check my email. And I didn't know that I was going to be in the over half of other people who do the same thing, right? Email done well is what I'll say, generates $36 for every $1 spent, which is an ROI of 3,600%. But look at it this way, given that 64% of marketers aren't really engaging their leads, this number is understated. If people just got with the program and really learned how to engage people, that could shoot through the roof. And email marketing converts 40 times more customers than Facebook and Twitter combined. That should get your attention when you're looking at overall strategies and coordination on how to engage and grow, how to engage your leads and grow your business. So consider this. The most effective strategies for email and SMS marketing campaigns are segmentation, personalization, and automated emails or SMS. Okay. Now there's a few things that we know, right? Targeting and segmenting works. And when I talk to people, I hear, oh yeah, we do that. But when we look at the practice, when we do our audits and we really look at things, not a lot of this is going on in ways that are very meaningful. So imagine a 94% open rate and 38% click-throughs. Because in testing, segmented email campaigns earned that open rate and that click-through rate versus only 42% open rate and a 4.5% click-through rate in non-segmented campaigns. So what are your campaigns getting? How do you rate in this picture? And a 760% increase in revenue. Is there anyone who wouldn't give their bottom dollar to get that? Marketers who send segmented campaigns notice a 760% increase in revenue. That's extraordinary. Who wouldn't want that, right? So what is it? What is it that makes the difference? Does data make the difference, really? We talk about data-driven, data this, all that. Does it really make a difference? Well, yes and no. Let's take a look at this. Demographics and data augmentation. You hear a lot about it. Does it really make a difference in your results? Purchase history. Does understanding the purchase history make a difference for you in the way that you run campaigns, in the way that you can create and look at how to engage people?
I mean, there are isolated businesses where that does work. I mean, Amazon's the classic example, right? People who bought this also bought that. But most mid-sized organizations in particular don't have a billion products to link to each other. So purchase history can be an indicator of something, but it's not necessarily a logical piece of data that's going to make sense and make a new sale.
Yeah. And then knowing a lead is in market. We know all that intent data, getting all the intent augmentation, filling in your lead records. But knowing a lead is in market, does that make a difference in how well you can engage them? It certainly makes a difference in your ability to maybe get them in a sales conversation, maybe. But are they going to engage with you? Well, is it going to help you, right? So these don't provide insights on how to best engage. And given the stats of 64% of marketers aren't successful at engaging your leads, I don't think this is going to be your good solution. I'm not saying don't use this data or don't have the data. I'm just saying it's not your best shot.
Certainly not by itself, right? And truthfully, the secret recipe here is to combine that kind of data with this kind of data.
Right. Purpose-driven data. That's what we're here to talk about. So is purpose-driven data the answer? We think so. Absolutely, we do. Now, let's look at why. Why do we think that? Well, it helps you understand what's driving your leads' interests. It tells you what content will work with which leads. And it sets you up to collect. Setting yourself up to collect and utilize this data is going to help you and allow you to maximize your engagement, meaning maximize your return on investment. Okay, so now we're going to show you all of this. We got examples and everything. So let's look at what is purpose-driven data. Well, let me ask you some questions. Do you know what blog posts any given lead is looked at in your, of your leads? Or what downloads they've opted in to receive? Or what pages they've viewed on your website? A specific lead, not in general. Or what their biggest challenge area is relative to the problem domain that you solve. Do you know anything? Can you easily get at this data? Interesting, right? Because in a nutshell, purpose-driven data is information the lead has offered up. It's also behavior the lead is engaged in. What activities, what actions have they taken? And your market expertise, combined with the above, gives you gold. Literally gold. So you want to ask yourself, what can you learn from your leads and their engagement? With any campaign you run, what are you going to learn from them? Either information they offer up or the behavior, the actions that they take. I want you to ignite your curiosity and really think this through, okay? So we're going to go into example number 1 and look at information leads tell us. And the first example is, well, quite frankly, employ more effective opt-in forms. Okay, employ more effective opt-in forms. 2-step forms. I'm going to show you an example of that. We're going to talk it through. And most importantly, ask yourself, what is the data that you need to collect? And ask for nothing more and nothing less. If you have a long lead capture form, you're going to increase friction. You're going to get lower conversion, period. Asking somebody for their address, asking somebody a whole bunch of questions that they don't need to know just to do this one thing that you're offering them may be overkill. And thinking that somebody who completes a lead capture form should go over to sales to get a phone call, they're just going to give you bad data, right? So only ask for what you need. Use the Goldilocks equation. Nothing more, nothing less, just right. Okay, let's show you the example. We have a webinar, and we're going to ask, and people are going to register for the webinar. And when they first click Claim My Spot Now, what they see is the first question. It's just the question, a 2-step form. Tell us a little about yourself. What is your experience with email marketing? And they have 3 options they can pick from. Then they give us their first name, their last name, and an email address. Okay. Now, here's what we know about 2-step forms. They're not really used all that often, but when they are, they yield more. They yield more conversions. We notice that instead of getting a 25 to 30% form completion rate, we get 40 to 80% form completion rate when we use 2-step forms. And there's neuropsychology in all of this as well, but I'll divert into that later. Engagement, you also get more engagement because what? You learn initial segmenting right away. They're telling you. And then you can use that information to come up with campaigns that are going to engage. Okay? And we'll get into that as well. So think about this. We cover, now the one thing I want you to know is we cover 2-step forms in a data deep dive video on our YouTube channel. And I'll put a link in the description. Then you'll see how we used that initial question to deliver a better webinar experience. So go check out that link and watch that video. Now, second example. Information leads tell us, use poll data from webinars. When you can get poll data from a webinar, when you tie that right into your lead information, because you've got that integration, you can get powerful insights that feed more campaigns. Here's an example. So imagine on a webinar, we ask this question, and these are the results that we can get out of that, the integration. So if you have good integration, you can keep these results forever, as opposed to how long do they last out on your webinar platform unconnected to anything that helps you take action in a good way. So imagine we want to see, well, who said coming up with relevant content was something that was important to them? We click through, we get the list. Now, immediately we can add all to a nurturing sequence, or we can save all to a lead type. I mean, we can take action right away because purpose-driven data, to make it useful, it's actionable right away. You don't need to go into a lot of analysis. You can ask questions. You can be curious. So coming up with relevant content was tied for the top choice with nearly 30% of responses saying that that was their biggest challenge. So wouldn't it be handy to have a nurturing sequence ready to go to drop those who said that into? No nurturing sequence yet? It's okay, drop them into a bucket, what we call a lead type. Other people can call them tags, although those leave things lacking from action standpoint. So you can trigger them into a sequence later. So just look at that. Pretty cool. And then trigger the nurturing sequence. Automation is your friend, especially when you're grabbing this data and it's actionable and it's easily queried. That means you could trigger a nurturing sequence based on the biggest challenge, automatically offer up content to help leads improve in that area. Okay, right there.
Well, and let's make the note too, that if you're not effectively using automation, you can't scale the way you need to. Automation is the miracle of email marketing. The more you can automate and yet remain true to your brand voice and true to your leads, the more you can automate, the better off you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how you scale.
Yes. So now let's look at a new one. Let's look at behaviors, right? So track inbound leads from ad campaigns by using UTM parameters to capture source when a lead completes an opt-in form. So imagine that your ad campaigns could send these parameters in to existing pages that you already have, existing landing pages, but then you take that information and you tie it directly to the lead record so that you can actually see how things are going. So let's just examine this in a little bit of a use case here. So you're running a Facebook ad with UTM information that says your campaign source is Facebook, or you can do a code for each ad you run and make sure that your campaign source, and make that your campaign source, sorry. And you can say that your campaign source is Fall 23 Best Practices Checklist. And then you might have a campaign term. That's your keyword that you use on your ads, maybe your primary keyword, for example, leadership. And then what's the content where you differentiate your ads? For example, 3 ads running for the same thing, but they all have different images or different wording. So you could also see which is yielding your leads and what those leads ultimately do or buy. Okay, imagine that. And then use an advanced search. As you collect that data, we can then do an advanced search on everything that came in with the source fall 23 BP checklist and who registered for a leadership class, and determine whether this ad campaign with all the ads in it is effective at the end, registering people into the courses. Okay, so imagine if you could know that.
You can. And that's the great part is, I mean, and you may be familiar with UTM parameters. This is a thing for Google. And you track UTM parameters into your Google Analytics. That's the common use. But we've taken that and moved it to a different level. We want to use it to track inbound leads by name, which Google Analytics cannot do. It can't tell you the name of the people who looked at a page or clicked through a page. So you want software that can do that kind of thing because you're collecting that data. And now, and I think if we have an advanced search thing here, we can look at the source campaign equals fall 23 BP checklist, and did they add the Becoming a Great Leader class to their cart between June 1 and June 30th? I mean, how insightful is that data? And how powerful is it to know if your money you're spending in ad campaigns is actually worthwhile? Because that gets hard to track, and we're trying to make it easy for you to track.
Right. So purpose-driven data is easily queried and immediately actionable. And how effective, you want to ask yourself, well, how effective really is your ad strategy? Your actual results, not what Facebook stats tell you, but what is it all the way through? What kind of leads? How else were they bucketed? What else were they interested in? And did they download? Make all of that really easy to get. So examples of behaviors, well, you could also look at segmenting based on post and page views at your site. And this is a subject of our next Nerdcast because there's a lot to unpack there and really show you how you can automate all of that and make it super easy to segment and automatically segment so you can see how people are engaging. You can also track your downloads. What are they downloading? Bucket people into an interest segment and send follow-up and nurture sequences automatically. So you can do all of these things. But what you need is the right kind of data to drive best results. We call it purpose-driven data, data that allows you to combine your own expertise that has the characteristics of being easily collected, easy to query, easily actionable, and you add your own expertise, and now you're generating campaigns that work, campaigns that engage, campaigns that give you the results you're looking for.
Now, there are a couple of things that this hinges on, though, that we want to be crystal clear about. Remember the first slide that Kim shared that said how many people said we're an 8 to 10 when it comes to knowing our ideal customer? Well, I'm calling hooey on that because they either don't really understand their ideal customer, or they do but don't understand what those customers care about, which are two sides of the same coin. You need to understand your ideal customer. You've got to have that understanding. And you've got to understand what different segments those people belong in order to make this work. Kim, you want to add to that?
No, I love it. And what I would say is, let's look at any questions. Are there any questions out there? And I would invite everybody to go out and check out our YouTube channel and subscribe, as well as visit our website. Get in touch with us. We'd love to have a conversation with you and discuss how you guys can implement this stuff.
Well, and I'd like to ask, if you feel like you need help really digging in and defining your ideal customer, drop a note in the Q&A box and let us know. We have a program that helps people do that, and we don't offer it very often. But if there's enough people who are interested in it, we might just put a date on the calendar for you. So if you want to really fine tune and be absolutely certain that your perfect potential customer is honed to the nth degree so that you can improve your sales, drop that note in the Q&A box, because that is the key to really creating campaigns that work and understanding the data that you can leverage to speak to the leads and turn them into customers.
Absolutely.
Kim and I talk about marketing and we use the word tapestry a lot. All this stuff weaves together. When you look at your perfect potential customer, when you look at how to write blog posts and a content strategy, and now you're looking at purpose-driven data, it all weaves together to fine-tune the best picture of how you can engage with your leads so that you get more sales. And that, after all, is the bottom line, is getting more sales. And that's what we want for all of you.
Yeah,
So Kim,
good.
I don't see any other questions in the Q&A box coming up. If anybody has any feedback or anything else they'd like to say, go ahead and drop that in the Q&A box for us. And I think we can close the call.
All right. See you later, guys. Thank you so much for getting on the call, and check out our other videos at our YouTube channel and subscribe. We'd love it.